Hey, beautiful family. Somebody wrote me yesterday and said, why do you never do any esoteric words to this effect? Teachings on the Quran, the mystic side of the Quran. Why don't you do that? Or can you do that? So I decided recently I'd revisit some of my older material, and I'm still working when I have time because I'm so busy building what we're building here that my ability to research and contemplate these things is not as forthcoming as I'd like it to be. Perhaps when I'm a little older and I have more state of retirement, I'll be a better scholar. But I do and have read the Quran, not fully in depth, I must admit, but having been raised in a predominantly Christian nation, I lean towards the Bible. But the Quran has the same sacred, connected wisdom that is absent from Christianity and often absent from Islam as well. So if you're going to understand this, you need to first of all understand the realization of God comes from understanding the human vehicle. And understanding yourself, woe unto the lawgivers, for they do not enter within, and they take away the keys to the kingdom, as Jesus said. When you don't go within and understand your mental capacity, your heart, your workings, then you lose this. And this is represented by the mystics, which I've covered over and over, by a union of the 7 endocrine glands of your system, which in the Upanishads and the Bhagavad, etc., the Hindu faith, the representation is that of spinning energy wheels, and the word for wheel in Sanskrit is chakra. So many persons say that they're terrified. They say this is New Age, but even in the Bible, and there at the right hand of him, of course, the east always represents the spiritual side of a human being. The light always rises in the east in the esoteric text, so it represents the light within you. There at the right hand of him was a book sealed up the back with 7 seals. And this is the book of you. This is who you are. And when you find yourself living in the spirit and not the flesh, you have control over your body, which is represented by the 7 endocrine, the 7 chakras in the Hindu faith. Now, there's a Islamic story which is very famous, the people of the cave. And it's part of the surahs. Now, it is said that the people of the cave were not Christian, but they were followers of Isa, which is Jesus Christ in Islam. So they were following Isa. For all they didn't say Isa was divine, they said he was a prophet. But in this story, just to correlate it quickly, they go to a cave, and in the esoteric mystic sense, the cave is to enter within. And when they go into the cave, their number is 8, but they leave 1 at the door, and the 1 they leave at the door is their dog. So 7 go inward to seek Allah, and they leave at the door the dog. So why do they leave the dog there? Well, culturally you have to understand the representation of certain things in the mystic ideology. And the dog in Islam is representing the lower nature, and still there are very negative connotations towards dogs inside the world of persons who follow Islam because of misunderstanding this. And you can see it in other places. So they go within to find union with God, and 7 enter. So they find the union inside of having balance over the 7, and they leave the animal nature. You must leave the animal nature at the door. Now, there's a point also in the Quran where Angel Gabriel, or Jibril as it's pronounced in Islam, comes to a house and he refuses to enter because there's a puppy under the bed. And this is representing that even if the smallest element of your lower nature is expressing itself internally in your house, the house of God is actually the temple of God is you. And so the puppy is hiding under the bed, meaning that the lower nature is not fully cleansed. You're not pure enough. You're still driven by carnal desire in some small way. Then you are not worthy of the presence of the angels of God, who are the purity of God's light and the messengers that bring those messages from a high. And of course, as I always say, a photon is a particle that carries information and messages, and those particles travel on angles of light, and we are constantly bombarded by photons and angles of light. And it's true that those that are divine from up high cannot enter within and nestle and root themselves in the heart of a man if his lower nature, his carnality, is still driving him, represented at that time by the puppy under the bed. Angels are not above puppies. Puppies are a very sweet and beautiful energetic form. It's representing something, and something very important.
Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. What you'll find when you look into your imagination will begin with a spin, traveling in the world of my creation, living there. You will see what you truly wish to be. If you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it. Anything you want to do it. Once you change the world, nothing to it. There is no life I know that compares with pure imagination. What you'll find when...
So this story of 7 is recurrent, and you see it if you look to the walls of Jericho as another example. They are instructed that there must be 7 trumpets at the Ark of the Covenant. Now, the cherubim angels of the ark are the cerebrum that come over your brain, and the ark is the unification of mind over the physical 7 endocrines, the body, the flesh. And they have to go around the city walls 7 times, and on the 7th day and the 7th time the city falls and the city comes into flames. So what you must understand to get base knowledge of mysticism are that there are represented symbols. So earth, water, air, fire represent the stages of consciousness. Beta, alpha, theta, delta. So it's about what's going on inside us. So when you go around the walls of Jericho 7 times, when you find true discipline and you walk in the spirit and not in the flesh, then you raise up and you get to the part of consciousness which is fire, which is the frequency where Christ can meet you, because Jesus Christ baptizes you with fire. And you will meet Jesus in the air, and you will meet him in the air because you are traveling up through those levels of consciousness. And the beauty of it is, when you understand it further, you know that white and horse mean pure understanding. And so if you look, where does Jesus come? He comes in the air on a white horse. You go up through those levels of your consciousness to meet Jesus in a state of pure understanding, to meet Christ, not Jesus, to meet Christ in a state of pure understanding. Krishna charges across the battlefield in the Bhagavad Gita, pulled on a chariot by white horses. He comes to separate the illusion of the battle of thought with pure understanding. If you move back to the Quran, you have a point where the Prophet Muhammad is ascending through the 7 heavens, and he rides the Buraq, and the Buraq is a white horse type creature. And as he rises through the 7 heavens, he meets Adam. You know, Adam is the very core start of human life. As you split the electron from the atom, so you split Eve from Adam, and you start the multiplication of human life. This is the first heaven. He travels through the heavens. He meets Jesus. He meets Isa. He gets up to the top. He meets Moses, and Moses is in tears because none can go above him, and he knows that great salvation is coming because the prophet will go above and meet Allah. The 7 heavens are representing that journey also of the complete man who will walk in the Spirit, who will walk without the carnality governing and guiding and directing him. And when the Prophet Muhammad reaches the 7th heaven, there is a discussion between he and Allah. And Allah asks that he prays, I can't remember, 500 or 50 times a day. And Moses says, your people will not be able to cope with that. You must go back. And eventually they come to the agreement that they will pray 5 times. And this represents that the 5 senses are surrendered to Allah's feet. And because you have risen through the endocrine system, you have had discipline over this. Spirit wins over the flesh of your body. And so your 5 senses are surrendered to God. They're surrendered to Mother, Father, Creator, surrendered to Allah. And you stand in the 7th heaven. You stand as a complete human being with discipline over your ego and over the flesh represented by the endocrine system. And that is not an uncommon theme either, because as we see in the Bible, Goliath is slain with 5 rounded stones and they strike the giant here. It's exactly the same journey. For I have seen God face to face, and I call that place Peniel, as it is said in the Bible. And this is the end of the endocrine system, is that area in your brain where the pineal is situated. This shows that you have reached the top of your temple. It shows that you have come to this point, the temple that is built in silence. You come to that point, and often it is referenced, often it is said, the temple is not built with tools, that you must do it in silence. When they walk around the walls of Jericho, they must walk around in absolute silence until the final point where they celebrate, meaning that in the depths of the inner world of a man, when you go within, woe unto the lawgivers, for they do not enter within, and thus they take away the keys to the kingdom. For 7 times, 7 days, Jericho, they must be silent, because you must be in that state of self-introspection and self-discipline to navigate your psychological world. And when you get to the final day, you can rejoice and sing and dance, because you are in the Spirit. You are with God. You are there, a complete vessel, to do His work and to bring that love and that peace that Allah, that Yeshua, that Krishna, that Buddha, that Zoroaster so diligently and sacrificed so much to ask you to bring to this world. And so this is one little video about the mystical side of the Quran and how it relates deeply to the mystical side of Christianity, the mystical side of Hinduism. And at some point, these cultures and civilizations that grew off the back of Samaria, that grew off the back of these stories like Enkidu and Gilgamesh, somewhere this information became coded in all the faiths to understand the prayer body, to understand the temple that is you, the temple that is absolutely necessary for anything to be able to seek God with an intellect here on the plane of existence that we call Earth. So seek to walk in the Spirit by understanding and having control over your body, by being a disciplined person, living in the fruits of the Spirit. And you do that by having the unification and understanding of the whole working of your body represented by the 7 endocrine glands The 7 chakras, it's denoted spinning wheels of energy. In Hinduism, the book with 7 seals sealed up your back. The 7 heavens of the Quran. There's a unification there. We should not ignore it, because unity will be the fastest avenue to bring God's love. And we can all see that right now the world needs it. God bless, guys. Bye. I really sometimes don't know where this stuff comes from. I mean, I know it, but it just flows out of me in a way like many things do not. God is good.